and welcome everybody to the channel. And this is a special little broadcast that we're doing tonight. And tonight I am launching a new segment here on the channel, inspired by Mr. Kerp himself. And we're going to call this Watch Anime. What do you think?
I like it.
So this is the Genesis episode. I have no clue how many people we're gonna have to jump in, but I yes, I did shave, just a little bit. The beard was kind of getting in the way. I had to
Who's in the chat?
Yeah. But tonight we're launching Watch Anime, and what I wanted to do is that I know that you like anime, and I also like anime, but you talk about it a lot more than I get a chance to. So I wanted to do a Sunday segment of it because it's my only day where I'm like really off, where me and you could talk about different animes, like different series coming out and things like that, and just get a little something different here on my channel because I do movie reviews and stuff. One of my things I've always wanted to do though is I've always wanted to do a section for anime because I've been watching it actually for a really long time. I like come from the days like my very first anime I ever saw was Akira, and I'm gonna date myself a little bit, but I actually saw it in the movies.
That's what's up.
Yeah. So I was like I came from the old school anime, and I've watched it evolve over the years. And like people always think like Dragon Ball Z and stuff like this, but for this episode, I wanted to kind of give a little historical background and let them know like anime really genesis in like 87, but it didn't reach that hype until the 90s. Like DBZ brought it to a mainstream audience.
Yeah, it's always it's been around even since you know they were doing like anime back in like the 60s, but it wasn't that many shows back then. But like you said, yeah, it didn't really start getting big until like the 80s and going into the 90s.
And Trap was excited. I posted this in KOTOR, and he said anime. So yeah, Trap. And for everyone else who's a fan, I don't know if this will catch or not, but maybe people who don't like anime, or even people who do, they could get a good background. And I like to eventually have more people on here with us.
Yeah, and it's the thing. I look at anime like the same way I look at comics, because if you took a look at comics 20 years ago, they weren't as popular. People were still reading it, like they had their fan base, but they're not as popular as they were back then. Than like compared to where we're at now with comics, where they're so mainstream. And I think the same thing is going to happen to anime.
Oh yeah. I agree. Like back when I was a kid, I was physically reading comic books, and I was waiting for that one comic book movie to break out. And now look. And I'm not saying Endgame is perfect. I did see it 5 times, so I'm a fan, people. But I will say that Endgame grossed $3 billion. Comic books broke the. Oh God, I can't believe I'm going to say this. They broke the glass ceiling.
That's what I'm saying. All it takes is one movie. You know what I'm saying? Like it all start. Look what the MCU did. Like it started. Who would have thought with Iron Man we'd get Endgame? You know what I'm saying?
21.
Like it was just really crazy. And like what a lot of people don't realize is a lot of studios and stuff are looking at anime and looking into anime, and that's definitely going to be the next wave after like comic books are still going to be here, like comic book movies. I don't think those are ever going to go away, but there's going to be a new wave of something where something else is going to be like really popular and whatnot. So
it's the natural progression, and I know that I'm a big fan, but in our group I let you take the brunt end of that because that's kind of your thing. You come on and like plug, but I'm with you, man, and I'm really excited for the prospect of one day because uh geekocidal tendencies, but not an anime fan. Changed my mind. Well, maybe we will. Maybe we'll drop some knowledge that'll change some minds. And that's why I started this stream, and I knew you'd be on board. So I know I did. I kind of pitched it to you like today. I'm like, hey, I'm doing this,
Yeah,
but I figured you would be on board.
I'm down. I'm down. Always. But it's like it just boggles my mind, right? I don't understand this. The people that are not fans of anime, how are you guys fans of comic books? Like comic books are very wacky and very like non-realistic most of the time. And like and it's the same thing with anime. Like if you look at the mangas and stuff, it's they take a lot of influence from Western comics and stuff and just take it to the next level. Like if you just look at Marvel and DC, all they do is superhero shit. They don't do nothing else. Like you have characters aren't that don't have like special abilities, but still in that realm of comics. Where if you look at manga, you have shonen, which is like their version of like superhero shit. You got like mech shit. You got slice of life. You just got so many different genres. So it's just like I don't understand how like a person that are into comic books or into like just comics in general couldn't get around to watching an anime because that's essentially all it is. It's just bringing a comic book like a manga to life.
Exactly. And Trap, I like One Punch Man. Every segment, or my plan is every segment will do a different anime or anime series. For the Genesis, and I didn't get a chance to really talk to you about it, but have you seen Ghost in the Shell and Akira?
I've seen Akira. It's been a long time since I've seen that. I have to actually go rewatch that. But Ghost in the Shell, I've always caught that on Cartoon Network back in the day. Never really got down to sit and watch like a whole like the whole series because I remember back on Toonami or to yeah back on Cartoon Network when they had like Toonami, they used to play like Blue Gender, the Big O, um, and Ghost in the Shell and a couple other ones. But I was mainly just a Dragon Ball head at the time.
Yeah. And here's the thing I wanted to say, people. Here's a misconception I want to break. Anime is the equivalent of movies in animation form. Okay, like everyone has accepted the Disney bullshit, the Lion Kings and stuff. And don't get me wrong, I love Lion King, I love Aladdin, but look at what Lion King and Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and all of them do. Okay, the premise of those animations is they tell a story that has some kind of moral or social relevance, and they put it in an animation. And I'm sorry, everyone who's here, you all have a Disney film you like. You can't tell me you don't. Everyone, I'm convinced
Hmm.
everybody in the world has a Disney film that they like and or love. It's a cultural thing. It transcends different cultures, languages. You can go to fucking Dubai and find someone who's seen Aladdin, Lion King, something. You know what I mean? And I feel like uh, anime has caught heat or has not hit because it's just a different style of animation than what we've all been programmed to see with
Hmm.
the Disney coming out and releasing the stuff they do. So you have these
Right.
Disney products, and then oh shit, you got this cartoon that comes out that has swearing and violence and adult themes. So in people's minds, they're like, well, what's this, and why does it look so weird the way it's drawn and things like that. And
And
you know, I
I wanted to add to that like the animation thing. Like I get it. When you see a character with big ass eyes, you automatically think you're automatically like weirded out by that, which I don't understand. I don't understand how somebody could see take like Family Guy, right?
yep.
That's poor drawing. but it's popular. But you compare that to like a My Hero Academia, you see how detailed that is and whatnot, and how much time goes into drawing these characters. I just find that very interesting when people say, "Oh, I don't like certain people won't like anime because of the way it looks or something like that, but yet they'll watch like a show like Rick and Morty, which has trash ass animation, but it gets a pass. You know,
And don't get me wrong, these shows that we've listed, they're funny. They've made their kind of way, but I see what you're saying, Perp.
Mhm.
There's almost a stigma with the way that things are drawn. So I want to show you guys some stuff here, and I'm gonna do some screen share. But
Yay,
while we're doing that, just to give background first, before I get really into this, let me give a shout out to the chat because we have 6 people watching, which honestly was more than I thought we were gonna have.
that's dope. That's dope.
So let's give a shout out to some of the people here. We have Cybernetic Husky. Thank you, Cyber. I saw you tweeting us. Glad to have you. We have the Senate, who wants to be convinced. Thank you, Senate. Hopefully we
Oh,
will.
that's
We have
easy.
It's a Trap. He
It's gonna be easy for me to send it to for me to get send it on board with anime, because he's at that age where it's like, yeah, you can understand this shit. Like,
What's It's a Trap. He's a fan of anime. He was hyped when I dropped it in KOTOR. So thank you, Trap, for coming and
shout out, shout out.
being a part of this. Butterfingers, what's up, Butterfingers? We have Nisha C. Good to see you. I know we've been streaming late, so I haven't seen you on very many of my things, but that's why I'm doing these earlier shows. Geekocile Tendencies. We are gonna try to change your mind, buddy. Um, we have, let me see, Toriel. Toriel saying anime rocks. Thank you, Toriel G. So glad you're in here in the chat. We have Benzo H. Welcome, Benzo. And Stevie J. Stevie J's in
Stevie J.
here. He
He could
says,
probably hop
"Yo,
in there.
gotta love that anime." Thank you, Stevie J. So yeah, this stream is gonna be informative. I'm gonna be screen sharing, but our topics tonight, I thought for our Genesis and per next week we'll get into the newer stuff. But I think we need to go to the old stuff to get a sense of the evolution. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? The changes that we've seen. And I want to bring up the old stuff because people have this stigma that the Disney hand-drawn stuff wasn't translated in some of the old anime. And I want to show you guys that some of the old anime did actually have that flair. The Japanese loved our style of animation. They wanted to put their own kind of tweaks on it, their own little spin, right? Like anyone
And,
who
and here's a fun fact. This is very it's not really much of a debatable but it's if you've seen the Lion King and where it's got its inspirations from, if you looked up Kimba, the what is it? The Kim just look up Kimba, and that's like and Lion King rips off all of Kimba, like most of it, most of the earlier adaptations of it. But you know,
So, if you guys have followed my channel, and that's very true to your point, they actually had to pay them. They won that lawsuit,
yeah, shit's crazy.
but at that point, Disney didn't care because they got they're a billion-dollar company. And they're like, yeah,
Right.
which I hate that preconception where they're like, everyone's like, oh, the Lion King was so great. Well, someone else did it. So, let me screen share with you guys. I want to show you guys something. And I want to show you the 80s style of anime so that you could see kind of a comparison that this preconceived notion that's kind of weirdly drawn and everything else is just misconceptions. All right. So here's one of my favorite animes. This anime was the anime that got me into anime. And I remember seeing this. So this is an anime from the 80s. It's called Akira. It's been called the landmark anime. I consider it that. No, let me get out of there. I don't know why it does this, but this was the anime that was a genesis into introducing anime to Western culture. And I remember that it premiered in cities, and there were some people who were like, "What is, a cartoon doing in theaters, right?" And then it just
Yeah.
caught on, it became huge. So I mean, look at
And
this style of drawing.
it was a way ahead of its time. Like if you really just look at like even go look at a trailer of Akira, it's just so ahead of its time. I don't even know how many frames per second they were drawing at, but like that shit is crazy.
And I mean, look at it now. Perp, to you, doesn't this animation style kind of mirror our own?
In a way, yeah.
I mean, and these are the templates. Like, it doesn't have the My Hero Academia, the Titans, the
Hmm.
Death Note kind of vibe. This is drawings like the original style, Western style of animation. I mean, the shading, everything else. I mean, yeah, there's differences. There's differences in the eyes. They always they over
Yeah.
exaggerate the eyes, but the animation overall, I'd even say in that shot is cleaner than some of even the old Disney animes or
Yeah,
the
it's like
Disney anime.
and a lot of people don't know that too. Like Disney made like some anime movies and stuff. They just went under a whole different branding and whatnot. Like the what is it? How the Howling Castle or something like that. And what was the other one? There's a few of them though. I just can't think
Howling's
of them.
Moving Castle, Grave of the
Yeah,
Fireflies.
yeah, like
Um,
that shit. That shit is amazing.
I mean, this is stuff from the movie, and let me just um,
And this is and for people that don't know that Akira was all hand drawn. Like every scene was like hand drawn. It's just insane.
yeah, I mean, this is stuff that is literally and still to this day it is hand drawn. It's not like, don't get me wrong, some anime has gone the computer route. I don't like
Hmm.
that,
That's a lot of
especially
a
with
lot of
Berserk.
Netflix. Yeah, a lot of Netflix anime does that. They do like that weird 3D animation. Now, the ones that do it right, I would say, are like Attack on Titan, where it's like very minimal. They all use 3D animation for like their big shit, or like to put certain emphasis on the way characters are moving.
So I'm gonna share with you guys the original trailer. It's a 2-minute trailer, so I don't think I should get dinged on it. We'll see.
Just try to mute the audio. Okay,
Yeah.
should be all right though.
So
Because they are
uh,
kind of iffy with these anime shits.
I'm gonna do subtitles here. So this is the original anime. And I mean, look at how some of this stuff is drawn. And keep in mind, this is in the 80s. This
Yeah, that's
anime
crazy.
was first released in 87. I was born in 84. So, I mean, this is a couple of years after I was born. I saw it in the 90s on the re-release. I mean, look at that. Now, this is comparable to most of the stuff you were seeing in Disney. I'd say even better, actually.
Yeah, because like Akira was so detailed, like to where they certain. I don't want to spoil nothing, but how certain characters perform and something like that. Like it's just super detailed. I always like that, like animes that are like that, where they make their environments and everything really detailed.
And the thing about this that I found so awesome is that this anime in particular has it's now remember, this is in the 80s, and this is talking about a dystopic future and how technology and man wanting to clone and harness our full potential could be dangerous in the future. And now think of how we are now in 2019, and we're doing cloning and things like that, right?
And
So
how?
this movie was made what, like years before that was even a reality. They were
Hmm.
covering something like this. They were talking about a world impoverished, expansionism and things like that, and how these kids are basically gang members and they're fighting for scraps. And the friend gets experimented on and basically gets psychic abilities. I mean,
And,
it's one of my favorite of all time.
and you look at how many shows that have that same theme. Like look at Stranger Things. You got you got like Westworld. Even though Westworld's a little bit older, it's just kind of a reimagining thing, whatever. But yeah, it's just the stuff they would talk about in certain animes is just a way ahead of its time.
It's a trap. Said Zod, you're a year older than I am. Oh, trap, man, you're making me feel old. Um, yeah, I mean, people talk about these things that they put in movies now and stuff, and they act like it's groundbreaking. But Perp, let's be real, and you say it all the time, and we joke. LB jokes on you. We all joke on each other when he's like, "Oh, here we go." But it's true. Anime has been doing this shit before the West got to it. I
That's
even
facts.
say that the West has stolen some of its ideas from stuff that anime had already done.
Hmm. Vice
So,
versa. It goes both
and
ways.
but and vice versa, yeah, they've stolen some
Mm.
stuff from us. It's been a friendly sharing or stealing of ideas. So, before we kick off and we dive into our ideas and how we feel about this, what got you into anime? What was the first anime that where you saw it and you said,
Honest-
this is fire?
Honestly, because like I have an older brother, so it's like anything he practically watched or did, I was into. Like I would be into basketball. If I saw him playing basketball, he got into skateboarding. I got into skateboarding. But like remember this like it was yesterday. Sitting down watching Cartoon Network, seeing that like seeing that promotion for like Toonami. I always remember that shit. It always sticks with me. Like, but my first anime was Dragon Ball Z. I'm pretty sure if you're like in your 20s right now or early 30s, like not like 9 times out of 10, your first introduction to anime was Dragon Ball. But yeah, I just remember just watching that and just being a kid with my fucking what's it? My kids cuisine. I had that on.
Oh God, the kids' cuisines.
And I
Oh
remember
man.
I remember when the first Dragon Ball like intro, the opening was turned on,
Oh
changed my life.
yeah, New York's hyped.
There's literally not going like that is such an experience that like even if you go back and watch the Dragon Ball, it's not it's if you watch the whole series of Dragon Ball, it's not going to be the same as to when you first watched it when it's airing because that was very special when it was airing.
Yeah, the
That was
first time that you saw it, I definitely agree, and I just want to adjust the chat just for a second because I
mm,
saw some good points here. Mega Jetty said at General Zod, my blue shogun is inspired by 80s anime. Very true. Another super chat from Mega Jetty. He said my first anime was Sailor Moon. Loved Sailor
mm.
Moon. Very good. You know, and I even though it was kind of girly, I don't know. If you watched the Japanese version, their transformations they were like half naked. Anyways, I'm just saying. Toriel
That's a
G.
Japanese thing.
I'm a connoisseur. So Toriel G said her first one was Vampire Hunter D. Love that.
Damn,
Oh,
that's
that was
old.
fire. Oh,
That's old. Yeah.
yeah, that was a good one. Let me see. Trap said his first or anime was Speed Racer and Voltron. God damn, those were great ones. Um, and Tommy said that his first was Star Blazer. I gotta
Mm.
say, that's one I have not seen is Star
You
Blazer.
you
I've heard of
remember
it.
You remember Ronin Warriors?
Yes, yes, I do.
That shit was old. So damn.
Ronin Warriors. I actually watched that series. I don't know if I ever got to the end. That was a long ass show.
There was just so many at that time. Like you had Trigun, you have fucking Cowboy Bebop. Like yo, it's just if you have never watched anime right now, like you're just there's so many things that you could just watch. So many, like so many classic stories and tales and characters. It's just it's
So
insane.
yeah, and there's one for everyone. But the first thing I wanted to cover, I want to do Akira first. I'm gonna just put my bias in this,
Hmm.
because that's my joint, and then we'll switch over to Ghost in the Shell. But okay, so Akira, um, I did a review, and I had facts and stats from that when I did that, but I'm kind of roughly call it in my mind because honestly, when I record myself, I don't remember half the shit that I say. Um, but I do remember highlights. So it was made in 1987. Now Akira was based on the manga. It was I believe only like a couple of volumes. It wasn't that much. So when it was adopted, they decided to make it a movie as opposed to a show. And so I wanted to get your take on it. Was that an anime you particularly liked? And if so, what were some things that you liked about it? And I'm gonna pull up some facts to read for folks.
So you're talking about Akira right now?
Yeah.
All right. Now, like I said, I haven't seen the movie in God knows what how long. I know my friends got, so I'm definitely going to have to go back and watch it. But I always just remember just the art style of it and how you know how nowadays to stop people from getting seizures, they'll darken out certain scenes.
Yeah.
And I remember in like in Akira, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure they had a lot of scenes where it's just a lot of flashing lights and shit. And you get to really see the action clear as day. But that's what stuck out to me the most about that series is or that movie I should say is the art style overall, and it's just amazing to look at, especially if you got like a 4K TV and you
Oh
slap that.
yeah.
Yeah, that show look nice. That shit's just really clean. I'm a really huge fan of like clean animation, like really detailed animation.
Yeah, and I want to read some facts to you guys. So Akira was made. My bad. No, I was right. It was made in. I was off by a year. It was made in '88. So it was produced by Ryo Sugi, um, and written by Odimo and Iso uh, Hashimoto. The which it was based on the 1982 manga of the same name. The film had a production budget of 1.1 billion yen. That's 9 million American dollars. It was
That's crazy.
yeah, it was the most expansive anime film of all time. It was set in the dystopian future of 2019, and it tells the
Wow.
story of yeah. Just imagine that it was set in today's. It was set in today's time period.
Wow.
Akira tells the story of Shitori, uh, a leader of a local biker gang whose childhood friend Tensu acquires incredible telekinetic abilities after a motorcycle accident, eventually threatening the entire military complex amidst the chaos and rebellion in a sprawling, futuristic metropolis of Neo Tokyo. While most of the character designs and settings were adapted from the manga, the plot differs considerably and does not include much of the last half of the manga. The soundtrack, which draws heavily from traditional Indonesian gamelan, as well as Japanese noi music, was composed by Shui Yashim uh, Yamashiro and performed by Gino. Oh, that one even good at it, man. I can't say that. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
crazy.
Akira premiered in Japan on the 16th of July, 1988, by Toho, and was released the following year in the United States, pioneering animation distributor Streamline Pictures. It garnered an international cult following after its theatrical and VHS release, eventually earning over 80 million worldwide from home video sales alone. It's widely regarded by critics as one of the greatest animated and science fiction films ever made, as well as a landmark in Japanese animation. It was also a landmark in the cyberpunk genre, particularly in Japanese cyberpunk subgenre, as well as adult animation. The film had significant impact on popular culture worldwide, paving the way for the growth of anime and Japanese pop culture in the Western world, as well as influencing numerous works in animation, comics, film, music, television, and video games. So, I mean, this film, just think about that. This film was made in 88, and it had a widespread effect that even was felt today. And it was set in today's time period,
That's great. It's
2019.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the whole premise and stuff. Like I feel like a lot of people that write these stories are like futurists and just like just really thinking because that's a lot of that's like predictive programming right there. It's just wow, 2019, and look at where we're at now. Like technology is literally taking over everything. It's
Yeah, and when
crazy.
you look at it, the premise of the film is that the government and that technology had become so widespread and vampant that the people suffered. Um, things were sensualized, and the government used media to spin and fabricate lies as if things were all right. They were going to help the citizens, and it was all propaganda from the media. This is in the movie. I mean, just think about that. And we are literally going through it now.
Right.
I mean, and yeah, Tommy, that's a good point. Blade Runner was set to this year. Yeah, just think about that. Films like Blade Runner and things like that. But I mean, Blade Runner and Akira pretty much run the same years. Because I believe, I
Right.
want to say Blade Runner was about the same time. I'm going to look that up. But yeah, these films were way ahead of their time.
Yeah, it's really crazy. And back then it's just they really focused on like story more than action. Now it's like kind of you would say in the anime space it's kind of reversed now where a lot of people just want like a lot of the newer generation they want like more fireworks and special effects and and less story. And that's why I like shows newer anime like Attack on Titan or Vinland Saga because it really brings it back to how anime was back in this time, back in like the 80s, 90s, where it's just they would create really strong stories.
And yeah, Tommy, you were right. He called early 80s, yes. So the manga had been out in 82, and Blade Runner had been made in 80 as well. So yeah, I mean the the Blade Runner and Akira kind of mirror each other, but just think that you're talking about the other side of the world. So I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
it's not like it was. It's not like it is right now, where you have movies internationally releasing, unless they were really popular, then they caught on. you know, sharing a movie was way different back in the day than it is right now. Like when they release a movie, they release that shit internationally almost like a week or 2 days later, depending on the
And,
studio.
and that's another thing too. That's a good thing that you mentioned. Like we see way more anime movies come out. It's limited releases, but like look at I would never thought like I get to see a My Hero Academia movie in theaters. Like I went to that was like my first anime movie I saw in theaters. Like because they don't really they had theatrical releases for like Battle of Gods or Resurrection of F, but I didn't get to go to the theaters and see it. They were only
Oh
in
man,
theaters.
I saw that Broly. I saw that
Yeah, so
Broly. Oh, fire.
that was amazing. That's just a whole different theater experience. Like when you're just in a crowd full of just anime fans and you're just all watching it, it's a completely different vibe. Completely different. It's like watching Avengers Endgame and you
Yeah, you
seeing that.
know, and I know people are gonna be like, man, it's just animation, but um, guys, everyone who's a fan of pop culture and everyone who joins our channels, right? Pop culture, no matter which side of it you're on, this is what we're talking about with the experience, right? It's the experience because when you go to the theater, you know people, that's a very niche thing. You know, people that are in there to see that movie are fans like you were saying. You're surrounded kind of like with your people,
Hmm. Right.
you know? So, you know, you can riff and you look to the guy next to you with their mouth hanging open and you know they're thinking the same thing you're thinking, you know? it's uh it goes back to that experience I used to have seeing a regular movie, right? That
Hmm.
feeling like smelling the popcorn and getting excited and knowing, yeah, mom and dad is going to take me to see this film I wanted to see. And that's missing from a lot of the mainstream media and films. And I think it's cool, especially when you bring it up that you mentioned, like, yeah, you know, being in a bunch of other people who like Japanese animation, it was a different vibe. And it's true now more than ever.
Like I'll tell you, like when I went to go see the My Hero Academia movie last year, I was only expecting like because I went there with a group of people. I was really expecting to have like like not even half the theater filled. We get there, this shit's already almost filled. I was like, damn, and literally the energy was like so much different. Like I've never experienced something like that. Completely different from start to finish.
And let me equate that. That would be for like anyone who saw Dark Knight. I saw it 3 times, but I saw it opening night. And I remember getting there opening night and being surrounded and like everyone just hyped. I mean, okay, I can count on my hands how many times I ever clapped for a movie. It was like 4. That I stood up and gave it a standing O. But I remember not one goddamn person was not standing up and clapping at the end of that movie.
Yeah, that should.
And that to me is kind of like the feeling you're talking about. It's catching, it's trending, and Akira really set that precedent. Um, there were stories and things coming out, and I've pulled up old reviews and stuff of people going like, "What is this?" You know, they didn't even know what it was. They thought it was
Yeah.
like a Disney kind of thing. They didn't know that this is from Japan. This is from another country coming in, and they get in there and like, wow, this is talking about a dystopic future. They're talking about poverty. They're talking about government oppression. I mean, like, and there's violence, and I mean, I believe in once there's like someone tries to rape someone else in the movie, and the dude gets beat with a pipe by the friend. I mean, you had shit like that in the movie, and picture like this is '88. You know, you come in and you go,
Right.
what the
It's
fuck is
crazy.
this?
Most people have never seen Berserk, so it's like that's like 10 times that. Like
Yeah, you
that's
know.
wild shit.
And Tommy,
Like,
no problem. We don't hate over here. He said, "Please forgive me a terrible sentence structure. Uh, joking on smoke brunt some pork roll." I hope that it turns out good for you because pork rolls are good.
oh, bro, so good. That shit is
But
good.
yeah, so I mean, it's like, and Toriel, I agree. Bleach, I rocked with that. Trinity Blood was good.
Bleach
Neo,
is
I've never seen.
amazing.
Bleach is Bleach is one of those other landmark animes. Remember in Shonen Jump when you had like what was it called, like the big three or something like that?
Hmm.
It was like
It
Bleach.
was like I think it was at the time, early 2000s. It was Bleach. It was like Bleach, Naruto, and Dragon Ball.
Hmm.
I think.
Those
Yeah.
were the top three that were killing it in Shonen Jump, and then you had other ones, but you can you can almost consider them almost top because you had Yu Yu Hakusho, you had um, One Piece, and I mean there were tons of them kind of like buying, but they just weren't, just by a hair weren't getting as much sales as those top
Hmm.
selling mangas were. So I
I'm
mean,
surprised that One Piece is still doing this thing. Like when the creator is pretty much saying he's like 80% done the story, and they're at like manga chapter 900 something, and the anime's at like 800 something or 900 something now, and that's a whole nother like 500 episodes. Like
I
that's
know the shelf life for that show is amazing, but I definitely want to dedicate like maybe a whole stream about talking about that because I looked it up and it's fascinating. The
mm,
way the author wrote that particular anime and manga, he didn't box himself in a corner with the way that they sail and they go to different places. It let them have an expansive story, almost like the world building for it is just amazing.
mm-hmm,
It's not like linear, like with like a Naruto or something like that, where his whole goal is just to get to Hokage, and then once you get to that, it's like okay, now we
yeah,
gotta make a new
that
generation kind of thing.
yeah, you
This is
gotta
an
make a
expansive
Boruto.
journey.
Yeah, and
But
it's like shit like that, like Ninja Scrolls. Like there's so much shit out there. There's so much shit out there. It's crazy.
yeah, and also too, the the thing with Akira is that for years, this is how great this anime is. For years, they have been trying to make this a film. You know, because we've
Yeah,
talked off air about this
I
for
remember.
years.
I remember. I think I heard news about that back in like 2010, 2011 or something like that. They were trying to get this going.
Yeah, it's been in production hell because it's got such a niche audience. They know, and if they want to try to market it to a normal audience too, there's a fine line, and they know that. And I mean, I remember hearing Leonardo DiCaprio being thrown out there for the role of the main character, like a bunch of like big names being thrown out, and they could never get this project off the ground. They had attached like they had what's his face who made Lord of the Rings. Fuck, why can't I remember his name? Peter
Uh,
Jackson.
yeah, Peter Jackson.
They had Peter Jackson attached on at one point. Steven Spielberg.
You know who they should just go get? I
Who?
know that could probably possibly do this. Just get James Wan.
Oh yeah, James Wan. That'd be like right up his wheelhouse. And Robotech is cool. Trap. I've watched that.
I think
I'm
they're
not.
making a. I think they're making a Robotech movie. I heard they're trying to make that too.
I'm not big into the robotic stuff. The only ones I liked was Gundam and I did like Robotech and I liked uh,
Zoids,
no uh, uh, Code Giza.
Kogias. Yeah, I heard that
Yeah,
was really good. I want to get into
that
that.
oh that show is fire, man. Um, but yeah, so um, Akira, landmark. I can't say enough good things. If you have not watched it and you're a fan of say traditional style drawings, go check out Akira. I think it has an appeal, and I think the themes is what ropes people in. And the fact that it's set in 2019, I feel like the issues that they talk about this is more relevant today than it was back in the 80s. Isn't that crazy, Perp? Doesn't that blow your mind that the issues
Yeah,
in that film from '88 is relevant today in 2019.
Yeah, it is really crazy how that stuff lines up. Like compared to like a story like Back to the Future where they got 2015 completely wrong.
Yeah, right. But
They were a year off about the whole Cubs winning the World Series though. They're like a year off.
but that is pretty crazy though that he did get that. I'll give him to it because like when I saw that, I thought about it. I was like, oh shit. I have to go back and watch my Back to the Future now. I'm pretty sure. I wasn't sure if it was that year or they were a year off, but I'm glad you confirmed that because I was like, wow. So we're going to skip ahead now into another show that I love, which was originally a movie actually before the Toonami show, called Ghost in the Shell. Uh, this this movie, this movie I love, and I'm not talking about the new one. Yeah, Trap, I agree. Where the fuck is the flying cars? Um, I, I'm pissed. They said, "Oh, year 2000, we're gonna be flying around." I still haven't gotten a fucking flying car yet.
And
Then
that's gonna
again,
take another like 100 years, maybe
then
50.
again, you know the assholes who drive. Imagine assholes who are flying.
Right. There'll be way more accidents.
Crashing in the planes.
You probably have other casualties, like you'll have random people just walking and they have a car fall onto them. That would be painful.
Oh yeah, man. So Ghost in the Shell. Um, I'm just gonna say, I know it's gonna sound like I'm shilling hard, but I gotta say it. Okay, Ghost in the Shell is another one of those movies to me that is the most a revolutionary movie of its time. This one was in the 90s. This was in 95. So this is a little bit after Akira kind of opened the door. And then Ghost in the Shell came. Dude, when I saw Ghost in the Shell, and the opening sequence is kind of like the movie, if you guys seen the movie, right? She goes into this thing. You don't know who she is, that she's an agent of some kind for a special unit. They deal with cybernetic terrorism. And she goes into this office building, right? And right off the get-go, bam, opening scene. She's like dives in like SWAT style with her crew, guns down a bunch of people, right? She's fucking invisible. And the cloaking technology that's drawn, it's just amazing, right? Amazing. And even how they explain it, kind of like Predator style, where it's not really invisibility. They're bending the light around them to appear invisible. So it's more of a camouflage. And like she goes into the movie, she goes into this room, she completely like wipes out all these dudes, like bam, like nothing, right? They take a hostage, she shoots a dude in the head, and then they're they're a special section. They're called Section 9, and they are the people that are sent in to deal with situations that the government can't necessarily handle. So regular SWAT is coming in, so they got to be ghosts. And there is a scene, and this scene captured me. I mean, the gunfight was amazing, but I had watched a lot of anime before that, so I was like, typical stuff. But there's a scene where she dives out of the building. She's naked because in this suit, they're like, it's like a skin tight. You could see, her body, and she dives backwards and flips, and they're like 50 feet, 40 feet. I mean, I'm not good with measurements. A couple stories up, right? And she does like a swan dive backwards out of a fucking window all the way down, and then like shoots this grappling hook and slams down onto the ground. And I said, oh my God, this movie is going to be like nothing I've ever seen. And I mean, I don't know what it is about the scene, the way it was drawn, but it was just spectacular.
Yeah, I
And
remember from what I've
go
seen
ahead.
from what I've seen from Ghost of Shell. Like I haven't watched, like I said, I haven't watched the full series, but I just know certain characters. Like I see a lot of correct me if I'm wrong. The dude with the two, I don't even know what you would call those on his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I literally seen somebody like use that type of character in a recently new anime. I was like, yo, this dude looks like a Ghost in the Shell character. I'm like, what the fuck? But yeah, it's just like I remember seeing that cloaking technology you're talking about, like the way they'd go invisible and be all stealthy and shit. Like, but yeah, even that shit was really well drawn. I like that style. I really like that style.
So I'm gonna screen share with you guys, and share this trailer so that you guys get an idea. Because, like I said, I want to dispel for people watching this, or maybe someone who's not into the anime and they're like, "Why should I get into it?" I want to show you the kind of animation style that you got going on over here. So I'm gonna make this full screen, and here we go.
In the near future, corporate networks reach out to the stars, and electrons and light flow throughout the universe. The advance of computerization, however, has not yet wiped out nations and ethnic groups.
So I mean, like right away, they're dealing with themes of corporations controlling artificial intelligence, and maybe there. They got that nice. And I mean, the same style of animation that Akira had. And that's the guy you're talking about. His name's Bato.
Police! Everyone, hit the ground!
What's a virtual experience mean then?
Well, all your memories about your wife and your daughter are false and are more like a dream. You've been taken advantage of by someone, and we're trying to do a ghost hack on some government officials.
Oh God, it can't be.
I've been to your apartment. No one. A bachelor room.
I told you I rented that room when we were separated.
You've been living in that room for over 10 years now.
So
My
there's
code
themes
name
about
is
people's
Project
brains being hacked,
2541.
like sleeper cells.
And I am a life form that was born in a sea of information.
And that was the scene I was like that scene. I was like, the best.
Ghost in the Shell. Released theatrically worldwide, fall 1995.
God, 95. I miss the 90s. But yeah, I mean, like, dude, that is some groundbreaking stuff. Did you get to see that? Because I know it dropped you.
Nah, I had to take a call real quick, but no fault.
No problem. So, I was showing that trailer, and the scene I was talking about where she jumps from the top of the building and she's naked and then like falls, and then kind of goes invisible.
That scene. I remember that.
Yeah, that's like a iconic scene. I dare say in like anime.
That's crazy that you see that shit on Cartoon Network too. Like that shit was wild. I was like,
yeah, well they played it at like what, like 12 midnight.
Yeah, it was like a little after. Yeah, it was after midnight. It was
So
like
they could get away with a little bit more.
it was like anime booty. Never seen this on Cartoon Network.
Right? Right? That's crazy. But yeah, I wanted to bring up Ghost in the Shell because that's one of those other ones that's like revolutionary anime, and it followed in the footsteps of Akira. And now Ghost in the Shell was another one that was a highly popular anime when it hit here, and so the box office was 169.8 million US dollars. So, I mean, this is a film that would come years later, and it grossed more than Akira did. Akira took a while because it was the first, right? So it took a while to gain steam. They factor in VHS sales and things like that. But Ghost in the Shell's production budget was slightly higher than Akira's. I think it was about 90 million, somewhere in there, and it produced 180 million. So I mean, for the time that it's
Yeah,
made,
those numbers are crazy.
oh yeah, you're talking about anime that's in the millions. I mean, that's more than some new movies that come out break.
Yeah, I think still the highest grossing anime movie is that Pokemon movie, not the 26, the one that came out in 2000.
Oh yeah, the first Pokemon movie.
Yeah, I think it came out in 98 or 99 probably.
Yeah, so I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy that so like this now. I also, while we're on the subject of Ghost in the Shell, you can't not mention the live action version they made. Now, me personally, I like the live action version. Some people found it slow and stuff, but I saw it as a pretty straight adaptation of the anime.
Yeah,
I mean,
isn't the anime usually like kind of a slower pace anyways too?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it followed the beats of the anime and it didn't hit with the audience. But I wanted to show you something because there was a controversy about Scarlett Johansson, being the major, and that they were whitewashing it, right? So, I want to just dispel some of those rumors there. So, here is the major in the 1995 theatrical release, the animation. That's Scarlett Johansson. I don't know, Perp. What do you think?
I think it's a pretty good cast. Like she looks like Major.
I mean, look at like here's a picture right here. This is from the 2020 reboot standalone complex, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, look at those side by sides. Like Scarlett Johansson, I get on Hollywood about casting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really big on that, especially with products I love. But I mean, look at that. That is some damn good.
Yeah, I'm like, and Scarlett Johansson, she's a good actress. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like they put like a like a shitty ass actress in front of it and just to give you some BS lines and stuff. Like they actually went out their way to get somebody with some star power, which
I
I think
mean,
you'll start seeing this more often as we go forward. You know, whatever the next anime movie comes out, you know, they're probably gonna start try to get bigger names. I don't knock them from that because if you were got somebody that was that like if you got somebody that isn't well known, then you know it probably wouldn't even made the money that it did. So who knows?
exactly. I mean, now this is my favorite scene. Now this is the anime, right? And now this is Scarlett Johansson. And actually, she was in like a skin tight suit. she was like, it was one of those deals where she was naked but not really, and quite possibly my favorite scene in the movie. But I mean, yeah, that was, I mean, that was some pretty good. That was some pretty good close casting. The story followed this along the same lines. So let me see. Generation Productions put at General Zod, but the movie sucked and Scarlett Johansson couldn't keep up with the action. They needed a fitter person or better stunt double. Would have been better just saying.
Now that I think about it, I would have got the chick that was in I'm drawing the blank on her name, but she was in that movie The Night Comes for Us. That was she forget her name, but she would have been a dope choice for that. But it is what it is now.
Yeah, and Generation, I can see your argument with that. There were some scenes where you did see her kind of lagging behind, but I want to point out I do respect the fact that she chose to do most of her own stunts in that film. She did a lot of her own stunts, and she does have that Avengers background. And in Avengers, she does have a stunt double, but she does most of her own stunts in Avengers as well. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't see it as a real big problem. The movie, a lot of people said it sucked, but if you look at the movie, the 2017, and compare it to the 1995, they did adapt it as well as they could. Yeah, you have to remember too, when you're talking animation, from animation to live action, it's rough to get the same expressions, the movements.
Because you either gotta copy and paste, or go in a whole different direction, but still keep that essence of the original material, which is risky. So they kind of played it safe, from what it looks like.
Yeah, they did a lot of safe choices, which I don't blame them, because it was a gamble, just like Battle Angel Alita was a gamble. And while Alita did not only break even, but kind of go a little bit past what its budget was, even Alita had a hard time.
And probably a lot of people still don't know that's based off of manga.
Yeah, and an anime.
Yep.
So I mean, all of these Japanese products have a hard time hitting here. They just do. And Perk, I just gotta step away for just a second. So go ahead and take it away, give some thoughts and whatnot. I'll be right back in a moment.
All right. So who here doesn't watch anime? I would like to know. I'm very curious. And shout out to Mad Squirrel for the dope ass thumbnail. Jesus, this is a fucking wow. That shit. Got the attack up. You got Aaron, you got Mikasa, you got Hanji. Oh, that's an ill ass triple threat. Shout out to Mad Squirrel. I see you. That's my favorite thumbnail that you've ever made. I'm sorry. I'm biased. I'm gonna wait for Zod to get back and continue this. Yeah, man. I feel like with just anime in general, people just gotta step out their comfort.
Yeah, exactly. Like how I bounce back like that, man. Like when I have to like use the bathroom or go get a bottle of water or something, like everything is like way across the right of my dojo. Like literally, this place is huge. I gotta like run all the way to the back and forth. So got my bottle of water. But yeah. So getting back to the discussion. Mega Jetty throwing shade said, yes, Zod is gone. Now I shall take over this stream. And we have Squirrel. Welcome, man, Squirrel. No, we're not doing Attack on Titans. I'm gonna save that. I'm working on the 3rd season right now. So,
No,
it's fantastic.
yeah, that shit is fire. This is my favorite thumbnail. Easy, easy. You got like 3 of some of the best characters on that show, especially Hanji. Hanji's one of my favorites.
All
All
right.
right, I don't know what that was about.
Oh, that was this crap ass connection. Yeah, sometimes my internet acts wacky. Yep, I am in the fandom zone.
I was like, I hope the YouTube ops didn't come and get you for showing anime. I was like, oh shit. Like, jig is up.
They're trying to silence us, perp.
All right. That shit's really crazy on YouTube. Like how fast you get copyright strike with just showing any bit of like certain animes and shit.
Yeah, man. I'm like, I didn't get dinged or saying anything on my page for it, so
All right,
thanks.
that's good.
But yeah, for this first one, I wanted to do a Genesis, a starting point, so that when we get into more advanced anime, people got a launch pad to how this has started, how this movement has grown, and I like to get other people on the show as well. I know Squirrel likes some anime. Maybe I can rope in PB if we talk about DBZ.
I know.
Shelby.
Shouts to Stevie J for watching his first anime. He watched Death Note. That's a great anime to start with, and that's
Oh
the
yeah,
thing too. That's the thing too. Like we brought up, like you want to ease people into it. Like you never want to give somebody right off the back something super complex or something that they probably won't be into. You kind of usually you kind of go just think of all the things that you like in like movies or TV shows, like the genres that you like, and put that to anime, because you're not always gonna like certain things. Like me, I'm a big shonen person. Like I like anything that's shonen. Not really into the mech shit, like the Gundams and all that. Don't really care for. I don't really care for slice of life. I don't know how people watch that shit. Um, but yeah, it's just like I like my animes to have some type of action. I like horror, even though horror does kind of lack in anime. When you got some good horror animes, but it's very few, very few. But yeah, it's just like start with the basics, and then once you start with some basics, you can get into other things. That's how you usually find your style, and that's what the most interesting thing about anime is. If you talk to anybody that's into it, nobody has the same top 10 list or top 5 list. Like y'all might have similarities, but sometimes like I know my top 5 is way different than Zod's.
Oh yeah, probably. And just a shout out. We had 10, so our numbers have been kind of up and down. But like, thank you guys for coming in. I mean, I know anime is kind of a niche thing, but here in the fandom zone, that's what it's about. It's about different fandoms. That's why we came up with the name, the Fandom Zone. Plus, I don't want to get sued. Or taken down, but yeah, and I wanted to bring a new fandom that I'm passionate about. I know you're passionate about, and I wanted to have a good Genesis, and it's so cool that I mentioned like Ghost in the Shell and Akira, and people know what we're talking about. You mentioned one of my other ones. We were talking about top 5, Ninja Scroll. That's right in that top 5. I think I have it at like number 4 or so, because
Wow.
it goes. For me, my list would be Akira, Ghost in the Shell, Ninja Scroll, Wicked City, and then what's my last one? Fist of the North Star. So those are my top 5. And Lonely LB, welcome. I know you won't watch any anime. But Perp, you still there? Oh.
You hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Did you hear my
All right.
list?
Yeah. My list is my top 5. I'm gonna start from 1 and go down. My top 5. So Attack on Titan. That shit's fucking amazing. Bleach is right underneath that. Then DBZ. Then goddamn. Let me see. I gotta think about the last 2. Cause I'm like drawing a blank. I don't know why, but
I listed movies. If we're going shows, that's a whole different other list. Because I'd go
true.
Death Note, DBZ, Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia, and Blue Exorcist.
Okay. All right. My last 2. All right, I remember it. Okay, so it's Attack on Titan, Bleach, DBZ, Soul Eater. Then I'd probably put number 5. I would probably have to put Death Note at 5.
The lowly banter put, the fandom zone is falling into a place where I can no longer identify with.
How can you not identify a lonely man?
LB, this segment is going to be for anime fans. Hopefully, it can draw in a crowd. I don't know. Do you watch Flash? What's his name? I'm trying to think of it. The rest of it. It's.
I promise you, yo. But before LB turns 40, I will have him watch anime. Yeah, I just exposed his age, but before he turns 40, he'll watch an anime. He'll be like, "Damn, Purpose right."
And Senate put at Perp Minded. You kind of convinced me.
Senate. Just watch. Just go watch Attack on Titan. I'm gonna just say that now. Just watch Attack on Titan. Just watch it all in its entirety, and tell me that shit ain't lit.
The Lily better
That's
put,
your homework. That's your homework for the year.
we threw the gauntlet out. You got less than 90 days.
Dang old. Oh man, old man banter.
And Slay Bug Guy. I hope I said that right.
Shouts to
I'm
you.
gonna call you Slay. Slay, put I believe that's a lot, or Ot. Ot is fire. What's that? AOT. Attack on Titans. I gotcha. Yeah, Attack on Titans is good. Love Attack on Titans. The Senate says, does it have little speaking and tons of murder? If not, find me an anime like that. I would say there is some dialogue, but there's lots of murder, gratuitous violence. So. But yeah, so anyways, for all of you who just jumped in, we were talking about landmark animation. I was talking about Akira, how it broke ground in '88. It was the genesis of the anime revolution here in the US. And yes, Squirrel, Castlevania is amazing. I have to do a segment on that. But this show is going to be designed for us to highlight different animes and talk about it because I feel like it's a very underrated media and it's very niche. Anime, animation, movies, things like that are all things that we do as a group. And I've always wanted to do something with the anime community. I've wanted to put out more videos, and um, I'm so glad that I have you guys actually listening in and watching this because if you haven't watched it, there's definitely some things that you should try. A lot of famous ones that I can list that maybe will intrigue you. You got Cowboy Bebop, which is like space bounty hunters. You have Trigun, which is kind of like a space western. You got Full Metal Alchemist. You have Perfect Match.
You said what?
Oh, I was just listing some things that people might want to try, like Cowboy Bebop, Trigun, Full Metal Alchemist.
If you want to, if you just want to stick to the casual shit, you can watch the original Dragon Ball, then Dragon Ball Z, and if you really want to, you can watch Super.
Yep. Super is kind of the recut and re-edit, and I almost say like an abridged version where they.
No, you're talking about that's Dragon Ball Z Kai.
Oh, okay. I was thinking
Yeah,
Kai. Kai's
the one that has none of the filler. But Kai's also weird because they make some unnecessary changes. Like I would try to find if you could find it. I doubt you could find this anywhere, but like look for like the DVD. Those are hard to find though, because those are the uncut they have the uncut versions of like season 3 or 4 on there, where they just put more blood into it.
And Sagan, I do have love for Robotech. Like we were saying, we're not big into the robot animes per se.
That's all Lethal Lightning. He likes Gundam and all that robot shit.
I mean, I would like to do a segment like that. I really would like us, and when we're in the green room, we'll talk about it and put together a plan. But I would like us to touch every aspect. And 90K, what's up, man? We're talking anime, and we're talking about some different anime that people might want to get into. This is my special chat, Watch Anime.
And since a lot of people I know that follow us and listen to us like comic books, My Hero Academia is right there.
Yeah, like, yeah. So you know what? I'm gonna clip that. I'm gonna play you guys a little special sneak peek into what you can expect with My Hero Academia, because when people hear that, they don't realize they do the same things, kind of like a Marvel, a DC kind of a thing. So hold on a second. Let me see. I want to see if I can find a quick clip that might entice some people into watching that. And whilst I do that, give us a little overview about what it's about.
Pretty much like it's set in a time where I think it's like 80 or 85% of the world's population has a quirk, and a quirk is pretty much a power or a special ability. And certain kids, I forget what age it was. I was thinking about this earlier. I forget what age it was where they could find out that if you have like a quirk or if you're not going to have a quirk. And it follows this main character named Midoriya, or what most people would call him in the show Deku, just to make it easier. He's born without a quirk, so he runs into All Might, which is he's the number one hero in the world pretty much. And he's pretty much like their Superman. And Midoriya, or Deku, he is pretty much a huge ass fanboy. Super fan, such a fanboy that he literally carries around a book with every single pro hero's like abilities and their weaknesses and everything. And that makes him very useful. But like why like My Hero Academia though is because when it first starts off, you get introduced to just like so many different characters. So like you could just choose whoever you want to follow, or just by that first season, you're gonna be like, all right, this is my favorite character, and then this is my second favorite character, and it's just I liked how all the characters kind of get some type of love, but like it's definitely one of those shows that pays homage to like Western comic books. Like you should definitely are you playing the fight?
Yep, just a little clip.
Oh no.
So
Oh.
this is from a fight between the two main characters. One is called All for One. He has the ability, like my favorite character in Heroes, Sylar, to steal other people's powers, and he's versing All Might in Clash. And this kind of gives you an idea of the animation style and just the sheer scope of these battles that they portray in the show. So I'm gonna play it really quick for all y'all to see.
Yeah, this was a great fight.
Oh yeah, this when I saw this fight, it just blew my mind. And right now, All Might has been pushed to his limit.
I'm
He's
gonna
fighting
say something. I'm gonna say something controversial right now. That All for One is a better villain than Darth Vader. Just saying. I mean, the dude sounds like a cross between well, his Japanese voice sounds like a cross between Bane and Darth Vader.
Oh yeah, his Japanese voice is very menacing, and his face is messed up from the first battle that they had. He thought he killed him, and All Might had suffered a permanent injury as well.
Yeah, I don't know what's the percentage of how much Deku uses of the one for all. Like I don't know how much. I think he's at like 10% or something like that now.
Yeah, 10%. He has 10% of the power right now. I think in the last season he reached 15%, but All Might can use 100%. So right now he's gotten his ass beat, and he calls on the power because All Might's power comes from every hero before him. So he calls on the power of all of the people who have been heroes for him for one strike, bring him down. Otherwise, shit's gonna pop off and then it'll lose.
Yeah.
And he's doing United States
and
of
just
Smash.
the story between like Midoriya and just and All Might is just amazing. It's amazing because there's a lot of shit that All Might it doesn't tell Midoriya. There's a lot of shit he doesn't tell him.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how that's why I make that comparison to the boys, because you know how All Might kind of puts on this front for everybody, and then like when he's in his regular mode, like he's just like he's kind of fucked up, like not in the head, but like he's just, you could tell he's broken. He's kind of tired of this shit.
Yeah. So I mean, as you could see, that fight scene is just amazing. I remember I had heard the hype around this fight. I was kind of down a couple episodes, as I am. And I finally get to the episodes, and when All for One appears now, he had been teased throughout the series as this like such a scary villain that the heroes are terrified of him. And now think of these kids going to school to become superheroes. Basically, it's like an elite school, and they all get together. One of their classmates get kidnapped. And it's by Shigaraki, the main villain, and his power is to like disintegrate people. So you see these people coming up with powers, and you're like, wow, this one beats this one, and blah, blah, blah. But All for One has the ability to steal and disable the powers of heroes.
And the thing about All for One is he only takes specific ones. Like even if you have like a really powerful quirk, he won't even care. Most of the time, it's just depending on what type of quirk you have. And you forgot to mention he has the power to activate your quirk. If you have like a quirk that's dormant, he can force you to use it.
Yeah, so he's like he's like the I mean he's the pretty much he'd be the equivalent of like a doomsday or an apocalypse. Like he's the big man. Now All Might, who you saw fighting, is like the Superman. He's the symbol of justice. Literally, his thing is he's the symbol of justice, strength, and the American way kind of a thing. his end move is called the United States of Smash. I mean, he's like an all-American hero. And years ago they battled, and he got injured during the battle, which forces him, he can't keep his hero form because he's so badly injured. And at that stage in the fight, he had been pushing himself pretty hard, but kind of like a Batman thing. All Might doesn't kill people, but at this point, he's kind of like fed up, and he's like, I'm just going to kill him because I should have killed him years ago.
And in the My Hero Academia movie, they show him in his prime. He was a badass in his prime.
Yeah, so I've seen Afro Samurai Fatal J. It's a great anime. I love that.
Fatal J.
Yeah. Don't worry, we'll do a stream about everything that's popular as far as anime goes. But My Hero Academia is the most closely related to like Marvel, DC, kind of like the hero verse kind of things. And
yeah, I would say it's a mixture between the two. It has that lightheartedness of like, and the colorful, bright colors of like a Marvel, but it has that gritty storytelling like DC.
yeah, they blended the both of them. And this person, All for One, is like the main villain. And this battle, it lasts like for like 10 minutes, but they're battling back and forth. And these guys are so powerful. They're in the middle of this empty city, basically, because they evacuated it. And when they're throwing punches at each other, they're destroying blocks, like city blocks, because the force of them punching is so great that the wind from the impact of their strikes is leveling the city. That's how powerful these two people are. And what I like about the show is they don't just hype up the villain and then he comes in and he goes in and he just does something and then you're like, oh, whatever. I mean, they have a full-on fight, and you see
they're
their
just
power.
wailing at each other, like they're just going blow for blow. That shit was crazy.
Yeah, like literally one's punching the other one, and the other one's punching the other one, and they're going like this, and then getting right back up. And you hear about throughout the show, the kids hear about these legendary heroes and villains that they model themselves after, fighting these epic battles. But this is the first time in the series you see that play out. And it's the way they drop you into it, it's amazing, because even the veteran heroes, when All for One gets on the scene, there's a group of, we'll say, like B-level heroes, basically. And they come in and they trap them in an alley. And literally, All for One, I don't even think he breaks a sweat. He like drops them in under a minute.
It was a couple of pro heroes that were trying to like. It was one that had the quirk that she had searching. He stole her quirk. And the dude, I forget what his name was, but like the dude that he had something to do with like strings or something like that.
Blue Jean.
Yeah, he got wrecked. That shit was crazy.
Yeah, like he had the ability. He wears like these jeans, and his power was he can manipulate them and tie people up. And he tries that on All for One, and All for One just breaks it and then grabs him by the strings and punches the bejesus out of him. I mean,
yeah, I thought he was dead.
He hit him so hard, man. He hit him so hard he went through like 3 buildings. Just lying on the ground like this, just KO'd off of one shot. It was the equivalent of Brie Larson.
And it was cool. It was cool how they did it too. Like because Endeavor could have jumped in and helped All Might, but like All Might's like, nah, I got this.
Yeah, he was like, because just picture the world's most powerful superhero fighting the world's most powerful villain, and he was like, no, this is my fight, because at this point, All Might is rated #1 hero of all the heroes. So you have the #1 villain fighting the #1 hero in a epic like empty city battle. They're battling in the middle of a city. You know,
that shit was crazy.
Yeah, it was just off the hook. I loved it. So
now
yeah,
we're gonna say who the new #1 hero is, but I'm not gonna spoil that. It's very interesting.
No, because I gotta get into that new season yet. You know, I'm always a couple of episodes behind. But yeah, anyways, this has just been I wanted to do a little hour thing, do something before fandom talks. This is just something for me and Perp to kind of just get out our feelings about anime, to get you anime people involved in the discussion, because I feel like there's a base out there, and there are people who like this, and I think that this is the next thing, hopefully, that's gonna catch. Like, we've seen Ghost in the Shell attempt and it didn't do so well, but Battle Angel will need to set a good groundwork, and I think it could be something new and fresh that we need. Fatal J, we were just talking about that. I mentioned this stream is about Akira and Ghost in the Shell.
Casher and Sins. I heard about that.
Demon City is good. Yep. Robot Hunter I've seen.
I know Fatal J watched Bleach. I know Fatal J watched Bleach.
Yeah, so I mean, this right here is going to be our homage, our discussion for you guys about anime. I called this Watch Anime, episode 1. So, yes, Alita was great, and Death Note is good too. I wish they'd give it a good fucking live action. The best one I saw was the Japanese movie. Nothing's touched those so far. So that's just my opinion, anyways. But anyways, yeah. I'm getting close to the time where I would be going into the fandom zone. But before we go, I want to give some final thoughts. So let me start with you, Perp. What are your final thoughts about Akira, Ghost in the Shell, and how they started this revolution of animation, Japanese animation, into Western culture, and where do you think it's going in the future?
I mean, looking back at that, like those two shows, I think says a lot to where anime is right now. And like I said, like I feel like there's been like this renaissance thing going on with anime, because for a while there, before like Attack on Titan and stuff, anime was going through a drought. There was just nothing.
Yep.
But it's just like you're starting to see more shows, kind of more of the newer animes going back to how it was in the 80s, as far like the 80s and 90s, as far as how stories were being told, like they're like, and not making it so action based, because like I said, that's how it is with most new anime now. It's all like, oh, main character gets a bullshit ass power up, they don't explain it, but they just add them and get a power up, and that's just not what I like anime for. Like I want it to be more than just the power ups. I want there to be an actual fleshed out story with dope characters. And if we get more series like Attack on Titan or Vinland Saga, or we get more My Hero Academias, or more Rise of the Shield Hero, more Promised Neverlands, like if we get more quality shows like that, then yeah, the future anime is looking good. But I really wish they would stop doing this 3D animation shit. Stop doing that. Don't do that.
Oh yeah, that ruined Berserk for me. That was some bullshit.
But at the same time, it's just like, if you're going to have 3D animation in your show, limit it. Like just how Vinland Saga or like Attack on Titan does. Only use 3D CGI or whatever if you have like this big ass monster or something like that. Even though you can still hand draw on that, but it just, if you're going to do 3D animation, just keep it to a minimum.
Oh yeah. And I gotta say, I totally agree. And I'll give you an example for my closing bit about this. I remember I have been through all of the 90s, 2000s, and now of where Japanese anime was. Like I told you, my first ever anime was Akira. I saw it in theaters, and for me that was a mind fuck, just a crazy experience. And I remember after Bleach, Naruto, and DBZ got canceled, or they didn't get canceled, they finished their runs. And I know that drought period you're talking about where there was nothing coming out. And then I had stopped watching for a while. I had just stopped. And then I started hearing buzz, and I started hearing about Attack on Titan and about Promised Neverland and about Vinland's Saga and all those. You told me about that, and then I started rewatching all these, and I started seeing a revitalization. And I think that the future of animation in general, because Disney is not putting out anything new, okay? Disney is getting away apparently from animating and everything, and they're going to live action, and that's fine. They're making money. If that's what they want to do, then it's whatever. You can bitch and moan about it. It's not going to change the direction they're going in. There's very few studios now putting quality stuff out. So this is it, folks. This is the renaissance in that hand drawing thing we've been waiting for. Maybe it's not from America per se, but the Japanese are doing it. They've been doing it for years. And I mean, yeah, they mix some animes with 3D animation, to make certain things pop. But they're still keeping hand-drawn aspects. So if you want something that's reminiscent of what we grew up with, I really think that this is the future of animation in general. I mean, look at that new He-Man. That style kind of looks anime style to me when I was looking at it. I mean, did you see that?
I didn't. Did they put out a whole trailer for that, or I thought they just put out the poster?
No, I was looking at the poster and the style of the animation.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to wait and see because it's going to be made by Netflix. So I don't know because Netflix been doing a lot of that 3D shit. So hopefully.
But I mean, even look at Netflix is leaning towards the anime scene. Amazon, Hulu has everything from Japan. So I mean,
yeah, they got Funimation.
Yep, these companies are recognizing where this is going. So I mean, there's something for everyone. And hopefully my show with Perp here will give you guys some suggestions and ideas for you to get into. And even if you're a fan, maybe we'll suggest something you haven't seen yet and you can go check out. And I think that if you are a fan of hand-drawn and you want stuff with deep meaning, some philosophical stuff, I mean, Ghost in the Shell and Akira were doing shit. We mentioned Akira was talking about shit this year in the 80s. They were talking about 2019 in 1988 and the dangers of technology, the oppression of the government through the media. I mean, these were all things that were highlighted in this film. Ghost in the Shell was talking about the concepts of artificial intelligence, robots. Can a robot have a human soul or have something equivalent to it? What makes us human? Hacking the human mind. I mean, these were all things ahead of their time. It was groundbreaking, revolutionary stuff that is just now becoming more relevant than it ever was. So, I mean, it's worth a look. Check out Akira. Check out Ghost in the Shell. Check out Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, which is the show. And tell me some of that shit they're talking about isn't relevant to today's politics or today's technological revolution we're going through. So that's all I got to say about that. I'm going to address the super chat. We're going to wrap it up so I can start getting stuff ready for the Phantom Talks. But super chat from Mega Jetty. I couldn't get into Naruto. The first episode didn't hook me. I only read Naruto fanfics where he's in another franchises banging other female characters like Mary Jane or Princess Leia.
Bro, Naruto's story is so deep, like the where he goes to a kid and the way they ended Naruto. And I'm not talking about Shippuden because Shippuden is like when he grows up and stuff, and they're all a lot older. a lot more powerful when they become older. But Naruto's story is really, really deep, and I would say to Mega Jetty, you should definitely go back and watch it because they got some dope villains. Like
And it's a story about growing up. I mean, and about having your abilities and really remember, like when he goes into the academy and he becomes a ninja. And I like it from the military perspective of being young and having some ideals and how you perceive the world, and then going into wars and battling with people and dissidents and things like that, and how it changes you and how you see. You know, he's got this very narrow, happy-go-lucky view, but by the time you start to get into it, he starts to realize the world isn't just good and evil. It isn't black and white. There's like an area of gray. And his whole thing is keeping his principles while living in this area of gray. And I think it speaks, you know, a lot.
and it's dope. And it's dope to watch, like just his relationship between him and like Sasuke. Like Sasuke and Naruto have one of the best rivalries I've ever seen. Like almost more iconic than I would say not more iconic than Goku and Vegeta, but like their rivalry is way more personal than them than Goku and Vegeta's.
Well, it's kind of like the rivalry of the ages. Like you have a best friend and you're friends because you always try to one up each other, but there's a bond there, and there's a deep friendship, and there's pain that you've both gone through where you understand each other on that kind of level. And I think that's where the show really shines, is the friendships and the bonds that are built and that are tested. And growing up, because you have friends that are close with when you're kids, and then when you grow up, your ideals, your values, what you hold true to yourself changes. And sometimes your friend and their ideals clash with what you feel. And I think that is the true meaning of the show. It's about the bonds of friendship and, you know, the shit that you go through and how they're tested. And it's very true to real life, man. Like,
And for warning, if you do get into Naruto, you be very cautious that Naruto has the most filler out of any anime. Like
super chat shit. From Mega Jetty. He says, "You're telling me to skip the first episode? Didn't hook me right to the more complex stuff? Where do I start?"
No, don't do that because could be even more confused. Just keep watching it.
Yeah, man. Start at that first episode, gut it out a bit, and when you get to the third or fourth, you know, there's a lot of filler. But if you hold on to that storyline, it gets good.
It progressively gets better. Like, yes, I understand what he's talking about. Those first few episodes are slow, but like once it gets going, it's just like, damn, yo, this ain't no kitty shit. Like people, you know what I'm saying? But my favorite
die, people blow up. I mean, it gets crazy.
My favorite character from Naruto is still Gaara. Gaara's still my favorite.
Oh, see, I knew there was a reason why we're friends. I love Gaara. Gaara's my favorite character of the whole show, number one.
And he gets shitted on.
Yeah, constantly, man. And people don't even realize how powerful he is. But anyways, thank you everybody for coming on the Fandom Zone and to watch anime, our very first episode. I appreciate it. You know, we had 11, 12 people watching. We got anime fans, man.
That's good, man. And now, if all those people could just watch anime. Here's another thing before we sign off. Just think of this, right? Think of it like this, right? How long is a regular TV show? Like an hour? You could watch 3 episodes of an anime in less than that. You do the math.
Yeah, most of their movies too are about an hour and a half. So one episode of television, you can watch a full movie and 3 episodes of a popular anime, and that's more than enough to get you intrigued in whatever you're watching. So definitely give it a shot. So I want to give a shout out to everyone. Thank you. Thank you everybody in the chat for stopping by. coming through and giving your opinions, sharing what you like, what your favorite anime is, and definitely look forward to this. This is going to be a new segment every Sunday because, dude, this was a bigger hit than I thought. I just threw it out there, see where we land, and I'm really pleased. So thanks everybody for stopping through. Go ahead, Perp, plug your channel, let them know where they can find you.
This perp, as you can see. I don't know exactly what videos I have coming up, but it was dope doing this just off the fly because I love the anime. If people didn't already know, but yeah, this was dope. Definitely looking forward to the next time we do this. It was dope. Thank you, Zod, for having me on, and yeah.
Awesome. And I'm going to answer this super chat before we go. Super chat from the Senate. I will watch anime when I have time. Just which one has more fighting and killing besides Attack on Titan? I'm going to take this one, Senate. Watch Hellsing. If that first episode doesn't hook you, because Alucard doesn't talk much. He just kills shit.
I would say I would challenge Senate to just watch the first 6 episodes of Attack on Titan. I still haven't found anything better than that shit. Compared that to like everything else that's out there. Like them first 6 episodes are amazing.
Yeah, and Death Parade is good too. But
yeah,
I would definitely go that. Hellsing is another one. I would highly recommend Hellsing if you want. It does have story, but like very little dialogue. There's lots of shooting, murder, tons of shit, language, all the good stuff. And so definitely check those out. Mega Jetty says, okay, makes sense why I couldn't get into episode 1. It was slow in the building, so it picks up by episode 3. No, you gotta. Yeah, well, you'll see. You gotta wait till he steals the scroll, and then it gets really interesting. So, give it a shot. Anyways, this has been General Zod. Thank you very much. We are going to have fandom talks here in about a half hour. Hopefully, Perp, you'll join us for that.
Possibly, probably.
So, anyways, thank you very much. And I'm gonna add with a different banner today. I'm going to not do my normal plug Neil before Sod. This is our new banner. Everybody watching, remember the second golden rule here on the channel. Go ahead and take it away, Kurt. Your favorite line.
Watch more anime.
Watch more anime.